Today on the agenda, I wanted to set up a way where visitors can interact with the light show that I run at my house during the Christmas time. I got the idea from seeing the Remote Falcon project. If you're not familiar with Falcon by Player, a contributor to the community decided to create what is known as Remote Falcon. This allows people who come to your show to be able to vote on the songs that they actually want to see, and then the Falcon Pi player will then play them. The thing is, though, the creator of Remote Falcon has his own website, and I wanted to be able to utilize the same technology, but to have it on my website, thealmostengineer.com. And so I got to looking and I got to thinking and I analyzed the code of Remote Falcon to see what is it actually doing. And once I got the consensus of the Falcon Pi Player plugin code, then I was like, okay, I think I could build something similar but implement it on my personal website without having to go through setting up a Remote Falcon account or anything else of that nature. Now, I know the people that are in the Falcon Pi Player community that are probably watching this video are like, you didn't want to use Remote Falcon? What? But hear me out though. I did not want to have the traffic that would be coming to my website go to another website just for the show, and then my website misses out on that additional traffic for people to be able to find out more about the light show itself and so forth. That being said, I wanted, okay, how can I do this? And so I decided to make some adjustments to my personal website, which in theory would be easy. But then I ran across a problem. And that problem was when I went to go set up a form on the website, I couldn't do it. The theme that I'm using, which is the material for MK Docs theme, is set up in a way where it has its own styling and so forth. Because of that, when I went to create a form, because normally static sites don't have forms, I went to create a form and like the controls, the selection list, the text box looked like the text box in particular was invisible with the white background of the page and the white background of the text box with no border on the text box. It literally just showed up and you couldn't see it. So I'm like, okay, this is not right. And then the button text did not do right. It was literally a button with no border, no nothing, just a text. And it's like, okay, that's not right. And then I got to thinking and I got to looking, how can I do this without having to do a whole lot of CSS? And the answer I came up with is you can't. That's not good. What I ended up doing was I switched my website from the material for MK Docs over to a Bootstrap 4 based website. This will give me the ability to have full control over the colors, the schemes, and all these other things that are related. And in particular, I wanted to show you the page that I was trying to create. And this is the form for when people come visit the show. They create this. They come to this page, it'll be an announcement on the light show that say, hey, go to thealmostengineer.com/jukebox, and they will be able to pick a song, and then the show will also announce a code to which that user will put in. Now, this is similar to how Remote Falcon works, not necessarily the exact same way, but in conceptually, it is the same. You come to the site, you pick a song, you enter your code. Well, for Remote Falcon, you also have the option of getting that user's location to see how close they are to the show location, to which then they can vote in that manner. And then it submits a form, which is then saved into a database. And then the other part of this, which I haven't done yet, is the Remote Falcon aspect of it, where Remote Falcon the Falcon Pi player will go poll the website to see if there are any requests in the queue. And if there are, then it pulls them and queues them up on its end. So I've got the form working. I'm still in the process of building out the API aspect of this, because essentially it'll be an API call from the Falcon Pi player to my website that will then perform an action. So when the show is first starting up, it will delete all of the existing requests and start anew for every show. And technically it's not a delete, it's just marking them all as having been played. From the Falcon Pi player's perspective of how I conceptualize this, it will look as though there are no songs in the queue and essentially deleted. When a visitor comes to the website and they put their entry in of what they want to hear and see, it will be submitted as a post request to it. Then it will check the queue to see if there's a song, that song is already in the queue and hasn't been played yet. If it has not been played, it will not add that song again until that song has been played. If it hasn't been played, then we'll go ahead and add that song. And I think some of these queries in here are not correct. I might have to go back and double check some of this. We also have a get method. So this get method the Falcon Pi player will make a get request to the website endpoint, and if there are any songs waiting to be played, this method will return those back it will return the first one back out of the list. In addition to, it will mark it as having been played now that it has been sent back to the caller. And I have implementations of this with using API keys to make sure, to reduce or eliminate the hacking attempts or people wanting to abuse the system. Now, I will be honest, I did use ChatGPT to build this out, at least the PHP portion of things. The reason being is because I know PHP, but I'm not well versed in PHP. And so what I wanted to do is to be able to get this done and try to get it done a little bit quicker than me just trying to figure it out and doing a whole bunch of internet searches, piecing the puzzles together. And this is essentially what this whole file is not what ChatGPT came up with. I had to ask it a series of questions because I was like, well, hey, give me a class that can do some of these actions. And so it wrote it out. And as I tinkered with it and tried to implement it together, I ran into a number of things, and then I eventually realized, hey, I could technically do this all with one endpoint, just with different HTTP methods being sent to this particular endpoint. And so then that's how I came out with, hey, give me an endpoint or give me a switch statement that will give me a switch statement that will call a different method depending on the request type. And so ChatGPT basically gave me something like this, not exactly this, but something similar to this, and said, put this in. And then for each of these type of things, like right now, I'm not using the put because technically I don't have much to update. Although the get is actually doing an update. That's a whole different formality of things. But it basically said, do this, and then you have your method, your handler for each of the method types. And so with that, I am able to process and do things accordingly. Now, I haven't tested this out. I'm still building it out. But in the end goal of this is that this one file with these various methods will be able to run the remote aspect of the light show and basically give the server side function of Remote Falcon, or the server side equivalent of Remote Falcon, but through my personal website. Then I'll also later on build I may build a C# application that can interface back and forth because I'm more familiar with it. In addition to, I already have a C# application that posts the song information to Twitter in addition to the Christmas countdown. So I may use that particular application to make this call to the website to then pass that on to the Falcon Pi player. I know that's a bit of an extra step, but it may get me done quicker than later. In addition to the redesigning of the website, which I didn't really want to do, but it's kind of like, okay, you kind of already, and I've had this GitHub issue to do a Bootstrap theme for the website for some time now, because of the fact Google has been sending me emails like, hey, these elements are too close together on your page. And I was like, okay, I guess I can move that. And a lot of it just had to do with the MKDocs theme. Like you can move elements around, but that requires you getting that template file from the MKDocs source and then putting it into yours and then moving those elements around. And I felt that was a bit extra. So I was like, let me go ahead and just go and move it to Bootstrap. That way I have full customization. And if Google complains about, hey, these elements look a bit too close together, I can go in, add padding or add margin and keep going. So this is an update of what I plan or what I've done to the almostengineer.com. The source code for this is on my GitHub page. Link will be available. If not, you can always go to thealmostengineer.com and it will look like this. Currently, it's not looking like this. This is the current production version of thealmostengineer.com. But by the time you see this video, this development version will be in production, and you'll see the changes there out. One other change I wanted to point out with this is that I implemented search with Google on my website. And this is something that most people don't realize, that is very easy to do. But I'll probably I'm gonna make a separate video talking about how I went about doing this and showing you all the code behind and so forth. That's it for this particular video. If you have any comments or questions about thealmostengineer.com or the light show or anything else that you've seen in this video, feel free to drop them down below. I'll be glad to get back to you. Last but not least, please be sure to check out my personal website, thealmostengineer.com, where I talk about a little bit more of life and working in tech, and also have some resources related to tech. But also check out rhtservices.net, where I have more resources related to tech and some information about courses, because I'm working on several programming related courses and tech related courses that may be useful in the future. All right, thank you for checking this out. Please be sure to subscribe, follow, and give me a thumbs up. See you in the next one.